From WRAL News, this is Focal Point.
A drunk driver crosses the line.
It was a very severe impact.
And a family is torn apart.
He took away someone's child. He took away someone's right to be a grandparent. He took away a wife's and mother's life, her right to be a mother.
He was an illegal immigrant with 5 previous drunk driving arrests.
How could something like this happen here to us?
Statistics reveal an unusually high rate of drunk driving arrests and crashes involving Hispanic immigrants in our state.
It just is emotionally so difficult when you talk to a family and meet with a family who has lost somebody and they're saying why? And I don't have an answer.
Some blame cultural differences and a lack of understanding of both our laws and the consequences of drunk driving.
We should be at the point where everybody knows, even the first time, that you don't drink and drive. But they don't.
Punishing those who don't can be a challenge if they're undocumented.
If they are able to post whatever kind of bond they get, odds are we probably won't see them again.
There are efforts underway to educate Hispanic immigrants on the dangers of drunk driving.
Anytime a Latino gets arrested for DWI, it hurts me personally. It hurts all the other Latinos. It's making us all look bad.
But many families are paying a far higher price.
How does somebody feel, a daughter laying up there like she...
Drunk driving crosses many lines, legally, morally, and socially. It crosses racial and cultural lines, too. Most of the people arrested for drunk driving in our state are white males, but a closer look at the numbers shows an unusually high rate of drunk driving arrests and crashes among Hispanic immigrants. Our focal point: why so many people who cross the border into our country cross the line behind the wheel. Emily Moose says the wind chimes hanging in the elm tree over her son's grave make music whenever she's there. Here she feels his presence, but most of the time she feels his absence.
Some days I feel like that there's a big space, a big hole inside of me that I can't feel.
A hole left by the death of Scott Gardner.
He was the center of our family.
Scott met Tina Jackson at a party when they were in college.
I remember him telling me that she completed him and she was meant to be his wife.
You could just see it, the glow in Tina's eye and the glow in Scott's eye. They were meant for each other. They were meant for each other.
Scott and Tina married in 1997. They later had a son, Jackson, and a daughter, Avery.
Scott was a very caring person. He loved being a father.
Very dedicated to his family. His faith was very important to him. He was a role model to me. I looked up to him, and I enjoyed our time together.
Scott became a teacher and baseball coach at the Highland School of Technology in Gastonia.
I never met anyone that didn't like Scott Gardner. We all look up to certain people, and a lot of people looked up to Scott.
Tina stayed home to raise their children.
She's just a very easygoing, charismatic person that you wanted to be around.
In her spare time, Tina trained for marathons.
When Tina set her mind that she wanted to do this or she wanted something to happen, it happened.
In the summer of 2005, Scott and Tina Gardner decided to take a long-awaited vacation to Sunset Beach. They rented a house with their friends, Brian and Tiffany Pate.
This was their first family vacation as a whole family that they had since they'd been married.
On July 16, 2005, shortly after 5 p.m., the Gardners were heading east on Highway 130 in Brunswick County. They were just a half hour away from the beach. The Pates were right behind them. About a mile down the road, Ramiro Gallegos pulled out of a small store in his pickup truck with 3 passengers.
He was driving erratically as he was traveling west on 130. He ran off the road to the right down there where the asphalt, that driveway is. jerked it back onto the road, and that was when he started losing control and coming sideways. At the last second, Scott turned his wheel to the right like he saw him coming, and they hit almost front corner on the driver's side of his car.
I just remember their car just coming up off the ground.
It was a very violent impact.
Brian Pate ran up to Scott's side of the car.
I could tell he was really hurt. He wasn't moving. I was just trying to talk to him and tell him the kids were okay.
Tina was unconscious. Rescue personnel arrived quickly. They took Jackson and Avery to a hospital in nearby Columbus County.
I was in the ambulance just praying over Avery and just pleading with God to restore their family.
Rescuers worked to get Scott and Tina out of their car and tended to 2 injured passengers thrown from the pickup truck. State troopers and sheriff's deputies searched for Gallegos and another passenger who fled into nearby woods.
It's very chaotic. We're trying to secure the scene, care for the well-being of the others, and find the people who had fled the scene.
Troopers ultimately caught and arrested Gallegos. Scott and Tina were taken to New Hanover Regional Medical Center. A relative called Scott's mother and her husband, John.
His instruction to John was to come quick.
Soon after Scott's mother and stepfather arrived, a doctor delivered the news.
He had severe head trauma. His spine was shattered. Every bone in his face and upper body was broken.
A short time later, the doctor told Scott's parents that he couldn't save their son.
And he asked me if I wanted to see him to say goodbye. And I told him yes. I did.
Tina suffered a severe head injury.
It just tore me up.
The driver who hit her, Ramiro Gallegos, had a blood alcohol content of .22, nearly 3 times the legal limit.
I just thought, my God, that's just so senseless, somebody, to do this.
There was more disturbing news. Gallegos was an illegal immigrant with 5 previous DWI arrests, including 4 convictions. One involved another head-on collision in Myrtle Beach.
When I found that out, my anger left him and started to go towards our government policies, and I started to feel very abandoned by our lawmakers and our government.
Next, where the fights against drunk driving and illegal immigration intersect, and how the Gallegos case reveals failures in both.
There was a tragedy, but it was no accident.